This is the iPad Pro M1, and today we're going to find out whether this device is truly a game changer or just overkill. Let's get it. What's up guys and girls, my name is Prashil and welcome back to my channel, ATE, the home of everything art and tech related. And to get this review on the road, let's start off with the design. And yeah, it's something special. I feel that the iPad has definitely influenced the designs of many tablets, and there's a reason why. It just works. The chunky slab of aluminium with tight edges makes us feel like a premium design. It feels substantial in your hand, and for something that you pay a hefty amount for, it damn well better. So all in all, the iPad Pro has a good looking and premium feeling design, which definitely feels really sturdy. And yeah, there's actually quite an abundance of magnets, which is, as you could probably already tell, to house the litany of accessories that are available with all of Apple's lineup right now. All right, let's move on. All right, so moving into the internal specs themselves, this is where things get interesting, because you see, you can look at the design all you want, but there really aren't that many differences or changes over its predecessors. In fact, if you were to put this side by side against the 2020 version of the iPad Pro, they look pretty much identical, and you'd be hard-pressed to tell the difference. The change in chip, however, is leaps and bounds ahead of its predecessor. So let's talk about that. So the new M1 chip in Apple's lineup was a huge success, so it was no wonder that they decided to jam it into the new iPad Pro. Or was it? And we'll get into that a little bit later. But right now, let's talk about performance. Navigating through the UI feels very fluid. There is not even a hint of lag. And I'm sure the optimized OS accounts for some of that. But the chip really plays a huge role. Well, that coupled with the whopping 8GB of RAM, which means multitasking and switching from application to application is seamless. In fact, my whole experience with this device was very pleasant. And actually using it to open browsers, listen to music, play videos, and games, it all felt buttery smooth. So the performance is second to none when it comes to the iPad Pro. Let's get into the screen. This new mini LED powered XDR display, which by the way is exclusive to the 12.9-inch model, takes HDR display performance to another level. Now what I mean by this is that this iPad excels in the combination of contrast, brightness, and color accuracy, ultimately producing one of the best displays and viewing experience on any tablet that is currently out. The 120Hz refresh rate is a game changer, as it makes this already smooth device feel even quicker with animations being super fluid. So long story short, big ups to Apple for the new and improved display on the new iPad Pro. Now the camera module on the iPad Pro features an incremental upgrade. It features a camera system with 2 lenses and a LiDAR sensor. With a 12 megapixel sensor with a 1.8 aperture and a 10 megapixel ultra-wide sensor with a 2.4 aperture and a 125-degree field of view. And it is also possible to shoot 4K footage at 24, 30, and 60 frames per second. Now while shots are decent and you get all of Apple's great image processing software, this is by no means a photographer's camera. If you want that, then go for the iPhone 12 Pro Max. Now when it comes to innovation, I will say this. Jamming an M1 chip into the chassis of an iPad Pro is definitely a flex on Apple's part, a pretty decent one because the results are absolutely astonishing. It definitely sets this iPad aside from the rest if it wasn't already leaps and bounds ahead of the competition with the previous chip. Now that, along with the 120Hz refresh rate of this really vibrant and sharp display, I would say apart from that, everything else is pretty much stock standard. And there really isn't much else that differentiates this iPad from the previous generation. So you're probably thinking that this iPad Pro is now the industry standard. Agreed. You're probably thinking that this completely blows away the competition. 100%. So you're now probably thinking that I need to go out and buy this iPad to meet all my creative needs. Well, yes and no, but just hold that thought for a sec. Now, while this iPad is great for multimedia consumption, things like movies, games, TV shows, light multitasking, even light photo editing, all that good stuff, if you are, however, in the market to go and buy an iPad to do some actual heavy photo editing, video editing, coding, art and design, then I want you to go to the nearest electronics store near you. I want you to go in it. I want you to go to the shelves where they have the iPad Pro, and I want you to keep walking and pick yourself up an M1 powered MacBook Pro. Now the reason for this is that I could actually never recommend an iPad Pro for any creative individual who's looking to meet their creative needs. And in that regard, the MacBook Pro, the M1 powered MacBook Pro, is still the champ. And there's a very good reason for that. Let's get into that. And that reason is software. Now don't get me wrong, while the hardware of the iPad Pro is all there, the software limitations of the OS mean that you can't actually use proper creative tools like Premiere Pro, actual photo editing software, as well as art and design software, hell, even Unity for coding. All this means that you can never actually fully utilize this iPad's M1 chip to do some actual work and get some actual creative work done in that regard. And I know there are light versions of Premiere Pro like Premiere Pro Rush and all that stuff, but it's never going to be the same as actually using the proper tools to get the job done. So there you have it then, my review of the 2021 M1 powered iPad Pro. Thank you so much for watching. This is my cue to sign off. Till then, I'll catch you on the flip side.